Penny here, and today we're going to be going through some new releases that are coming out in May, as well as some other books that I've recently added to my Goodreads to read list. Although honestly, I tidied up my Goodreads to read list lately, which you might think means I deleted some things, but I actually added some things. Oops. Anyway, let's talk about the new releases first. So I've got 5 new releases to talk about. So firstly, we have Network Effect, which is the first full-length novel in the Murderbot series. So far there have been 4 novellas. I actually have only read the first half of the first one, and then it returned itself to the library, but recently Tor did a promotion, and so I now have all of the books on ebook. I just have to find time to read them, but I forgot to put them on my May TBR, so not sure how that's going to work out. But if you haven't heard about the Murderbot series, it's basically this AI type robot person that has hacked their system so that they can just spend most of their time watching trashy TV. And that's all they really want to do, but unfortunately they have to keep helping the humans out with the things that the stupid humans want. Honestly, I'm so annoyed with myself for not having read this series yet, because it's so exactly what I love. And the bit that I did read of it, I really loved. So I just need to sort out my organization. Next we have Byrne by Patrick Ness. So I think this is some kind of alternate history where there are dragons. I was really just sold on the fact that there's a line in the synopsis about the main character's father having hired a dragon to come and work on the farm. Dragons working on the farm? Yes. As well, I think the dragon has a secret. There's a cult of dragon worshippers and a prophecy. So it sounds like it's going to be really interesting. Next we have What Lies Between Us by John Mars. This is some kind of story about 2 women who live together, and then every night one of them gets chained into the attic. That synopsis kind of gives me The Girl with All the Gifts vibes, in that somebody is being locked up and you don't know why. Also, I've recently read The One by John Mars and I really enjoyed it, so that made me interested to pick up some more of his stuff. Then as well we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So this is a prequel to the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins, and I believe it's going to follow President Snow. So it'll be really interesting to see how this continues. Hopefully it will live up to expectations. It's always really worrying to get a continuation of a really well-loved series because it's a lot to live up to, but Suzanne Collins has had a while to work on it, so I guess we'll see how she manages. If you don't know what the Hunger Games is about, where have you been? But it is a dystopian where every year there is a Hunger Game where people from each district have to fight to the death. The original series was like the 74th and 75th Hunger Games, so it'll be interesting to see how different it is with the prequel being set in much earlier Hunger Games. Then lastly, we have the 2nd volume of Cinder coming out by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. So this is like a continuation series from the original Cinder graphic novel series. Cinder was absolutely amazing. It's basically a war between humans and robots, except that some of the robots and humans are working together, and the humans definitely aren't necessarily the good guys. In the second one, we're kind of seeing the result of that war, as well as there's some weird magic stuff going on. The first volume was great, so I can't see why the second volume wouldn't be the same. Okay, so then let's just talk about a few books that I've added to my Goodreads to read list recently. So firstly, I've got River God by Wilbur Smith. This is quite an old book, but it was one that was recommended to me when I was asking for recommendations for books set in ancient Egypt. So if you know any other books set in ancient Egypt, please leave them down below. I don't know anything else about this. Ancient Egypt. Hopefully some cats. Then I also added Snow Glass Apples by Neil Gaiman and Colleen Doran. This is a graphic novel retelling of Snow White. I have heard that maybe the story isn't so good, but honestly the art just looks so beautiful that I'm going to try and get my hands on it just so that I can look at the pictures. I'm a reader, honestly. Then I have a couple of graphic novel memoirs, I believe, that I saw Gaia Athena talking about. So firstly is Lighter Than My Shadow by Katie Green. I think this one's a little bit about a woman suffering with an eating disorder. And then I also have Mishadra not sure how to say that one, by, oh no, Aizmin Omar Atta. I probably screwed that up, and I'd try and look up how to say it, but I feel like I would still screw it up. But anyway, both of these sound really interesting. That second one is a guy struggling with epilepsy. I don't often read memoirs, but I do enjoy hearing about other people's stories. And I think graphic novels should be like a more accessible way for me to get into reading those kind of stories, since they're quicker reads. Of course, without my library, I can't get my hands on any of them, so we'll see how long it takes me to get to some of these. Then I also have The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. So this is one Elliot Brooks has been talking about a lot recently. It is a story of Wolfgang Mozart and his sister, who was also a great musician, but because of sexism at the time, she was not allowed to continue doing that after her teens. And then also the brother and sister had like this magical world that they would imagine when they were traveling around as kids performing music. I've always found it really interesting, the fact that she was also a great musician, but because of sexism, we don't even know anything about her. Okay, then I also have a bunch of different books from series that I'm supposed to be continuing on, so I'm not going to get into that right now. And I also have a whole bunch of epic fantasies that people recommended to me on my epic fantasy recommendations video, so I'll link that around if you want to go and recommend any other epic fantasy series to me. I don't know when I'm going to get to any of these, but I would love to have like a collection of ones that I can look into reading when I have the time to. Then I have The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. So this is one that Murphy Napier was talking about. I believe it's the story of a woman being stuck in a single room like as therapy for her mental illness. And the author is actually a woman who had this happen to her in real life. She's written this story to explain why it's not a very good idea. I think it's just a really short story, but Murphy was saying that it was really great, so I would like to read it. Then the last thing that I added is Swamp Thing, which is a graphic novel by Maggie Stiefvater, because I realized it's the only significant thing by Maggie Stiefvater that I haven't read. And I want to read everything by Maggie Stiefvater. I have actually put a hold on this at the library, but all the libraries are closed, so we'll see. Honestly, my library hold list is getting longer and longer, and I'm trying to be restrained and not add more things to it, but I just hope they don't all suddenly come through when the libraries reopen, because that will be a problem. So I think that's all the books that I have to talk about today. Let me know if you're excited about any of the new releases, or if there are any other new releases that you know about that you think I should be excited about. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are having a really great day and keeping yourself safe, and I will see you next time.